Where were you on September 11th? I know exactly where I was. I was an active United States Marine stationed at Aberdeen Proving Grounds, Maryland. I was a weapons systems instructor for the Marine Corps and the Army. At the time, I was the youngest person to ever become a master instructor in the Army's weapons system program. It was a very, very odd day for us because I was in a classroom setting inside of a building in a classroom with workbenches, weapon systems on the tables, and I was instructing Marines. And Staff Sergeant Lindsay was a friend of mine and a colleague, came into my classroom and asked me, "Hey, aren't you from New York, Sergeant?" And I said, "I am." And he said, "Put your class on break, come with me." Now, at first I thought he was joking because Staff Sergeant Lindsay was known to be a joker. But he wasn't. He looked at me and he pulled rank and he said, "Sergeant, I just told you to put your class on break and come with me." And so we put the class on break and they walked over to the break room. The building had a break room. It was all glass walls so that we can keep an eye on the Marines. And Staff Sergeant Lindsay and I walked over to the testing center. This is where we would take the Marines for their written tests, because the testing center was the only room that actually had a television in it. And at the time, it was big box television hanging in the corner, top corner of the room. And I walked in time to see the second plane hit the World Trade Center. And I remember my heart sinking to the ground. I remember thinking to myself, this can't be reality. This can't be real. This can't be truth. And what I immediately did was run to the office. There's no cell phones at the time, right? And I ran to the office, I grabbed the landline, and I tried to call my dad. And I called, he was my stepfather, but he's my dad. And I called my stepfather so many times and I couldn't get through because all the lines were tied up. So you can imagine everybody and their mother was trying to call somebody in New York. And he worked downtown, so it was really, 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 really freaking out. I know people that died in that tragedy. And even more so, I know a lot of people that died after the tragedy, in the real tragedy. And the additional tragedy, I should say, and the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. See, I remember bringing my Marines back into the classroom and immediately thinking to myself, these guys, their lives just changed. All their orders are about to change to a different place. They're all war-bound. Those guys woke up that morning. They were excited to be Marines, young, full of energy, and instantly they knew that their next duty station after school, their very first duty station, would be pushing them to the desert. That they would be going into war training, that they would be flying out, and that they would end up on a ship, they would end up in the sand, somewhere in the Middle East. And they did. The majority of them, as a matter of fact. I remember the lives lost. I remember the people I loved that I'll never see again. And that's why this 9/11 is more somber than ever. Yesterday we lost, I think, an incredible activist, Charlie Kirk, who was horribly shot in the neck in front of 3,000 people. And then disgusting people had the audacity to celebrate this opportunity. Congress tried to hold a moment of silence and the Democrats decided to start screaming during the moment of silence. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't care what side of the fence you're on, you're Democrat or Republican, as long as we can love and respect each other, I really don't give two hoots what side of the fence you're on. But when you turn to the point where you're no longer human and you act in inhuman ways and you celebrate the death of a fellow American, I can't hang with you. Because even at war, Military members who kill the enemy live with that for the rest of their lives in somber. Don't believe the movies. That's why there's such things as PTSD, sleepless nights, nightmares, horrific events, anxiety, inability to be around people, inability to hold relationships. All of that exists for military veterans and war veterans because of the messed up things that they had to see. And now 3,000 students, young kids, not at war, sitting in front of an activist, whether they agreed with him or not, some going up to the microphone to debate him and try to shift his mindset and him try to shift theirs in peace. Peaceful debates. Shot him in the neck, and his wife will see that video or has seen that video, surely. His kids will never know him. Then we have a girl on a train in North Carolina, gets stabbed in the chest 3 times for no reason. The murderer just reached over, stabbed her 3 times, stood up, walked away, took off his sweater, and got off the train. And everyone on the train minded their own business. Now, I'm not expecting somebody to try to bum rush the guy. This is not the movies. And try to take the knife away from him and end up getting stabbed in the process. But I did hope that somebody would get up and help that girl. She cried, she put her hands on her face, she looked down in disbelief, and then she just rolled over onto the floor and bled to death. No one grabbed her, laid her out, tried to stop the bleeding, put their hands on her wounds. Nothing. Not even the most minor show of love. School shooting yesterday in Colorado, church shooting a couple weeks ago, another school shooting before that. Guys, wake up. This is the most somber 9/11 have felt in my heart since the actual 9/11. I remember. Many of you don't, because many of you might be significantly younger. My kids don't know and think about 9/11 the way that I do. I was an active duty Marine when 9/11 happened. They were babies. So I'm going to ask you guys in this video today to take a moment and to find your humanity. To look around you and look at the people around you, your loved ones, and take a moment to appreciate the time that you have with them, because you never know when that time is done. People are dying for no reason. We had a great real estate agent in Miami pass away the other day at 50 years old, Darren Tanzi. Nothing to do with politics or anything, but he just died. You never know when that day's coming. Now people are being killed for having an opinion. I want you to think about that. Whether you agreed with him or not, he died for having an opinion. You have opinions. I'm sure you do. And your opinions matter, whether I agree with them or not, whether they fall within my moral character or not, whether I would participate or not. Those are your opinions. And I can respectfully disagree. That's what makes us human. We're not all supposed to think the same exact way. So look at your loved ones. Spend some time with them. Show them some love, because you never know when that last day is coming. But more than that, wake up. Stop the nonsense. Stop the violence. Stop the anger. Stop the hate. Just because we disagree doesn't mean I hate you. I love you the same. I just can't agree with what you're saying. And that is okay. Pay attention to your surroundings. It saddens me that I now have to sit down with my daughters and have a serious conversation with them about where they sit in their classroom. That I have to teach my daughters, my young innocent, beautiful daughters, self-awareness and protection. That I have to take my kids who are high school grade age to the rifle range and the gun range to show them how to handle a weapon in case it was ever necessary, not that I ever want them to have to. That I have to sit down and tell them to think about where they sit in the classroom, to look for the exits, and to pay attention to the people around them. And if they feel anything odd in any way whatsoever, I give them full permission to walk out of that classroom. It sombers me. It hurts me that I have to have that conversation with them. I'll tell you what, in today's day and age, more than ever before, I believe it's necessary. And I hope that many of you take that just as seriously and have that conversation with your children as well. And if you know me and I'm local and you want me to come and sit down with your kids and talk to them about self-awareness, I make myself available to you. I'd be happy to. Ladies and gentlemen, remember 9/11, whether you remember it exactly how it was or you just heard about it from your parents. Remember that it can happen, and it more than likely will happen again. Stay safe, everybody. God bless you. God bless America. See you soon.